and welcome to the Family Resource Center of San Mateo County's presentation. My child's early intervention is ending at age 3. What's next? This presentation is intended to provide information about the process of transitioning to special education to parents of children under the age of 3 and are receiving early start services through the regional center. If your child is not receiving early start services, there will still be relevant information in this training for you. We will also discuss ongoing services to the regional center, services through your medical insurance, and more. Hello, my name is Gabriela Diaz Santos. Pronouns are she, her, and ella. I am an FRC coordinator, and I will be presenting tonight's presentation. First, I want to give a brief overview of the FRC and what we do here in San Mateo County. The FRC of San Mateo serves families who have children with disabilities between the ages 0 to 22. We are staffed by parents and caregivers of children and young adults with disabilities and provide support, information, resources, and referrals to navigate the systems out there. We also offer online trainings, support groups, a resource binder, and a monthly e-newsletter. We are funded in part by the Department of Developmental Services, known as DDS, and the California Department of Education, known as CDE, Special Education Division. I want to give a disclaimer that the Family Resource Center is not a legal firm or legal service agency, and we cannot provide any legal advice. Any information provided by the Family Resource Center should not be considered a means of taking the place of legal advice that must be obtained through an attorney. We invite you all to connect with us as well as check out our event calendar where you can browse and register for our upcoming events. If you would like individual support with an FRC coordinator, you can email, call, or fill out the contact form on our website. This is our agenda for today's presentation. We will talk about an overview of the transition process. Step 1, the transition meetings. Step 2, notification to the school district and what an IEP is. Then we will review step 3, the assessment plan, and step 4, the assessment. Then step 5, the IEP meeting, as well as special education tips and terms. Last, we will review services through your health insurance, ongoing services, otherwise known as Lanterman Act services, and generic and community-based services. All right, let's jump in. Yay, your child is turning 3. Soon your child will be celebrating their 3rd birthday. Along with birthday celebrations, your child will be graduating from the GGRC Early Start program when they turn 3, and there will come a change in your child's services. Your child will be transitioning from the Early Start system to possibly preschool through the special education system. This guide of transitioning to preschool services will help you to navigate this move from your family program to a school program. Note, in California, early intervention services are provided through the regional centers under the Department of Developmental Services and are called Early Start. Early Start is for infants and toddlers showing developmental delays or at risk for a developmental disability. The transition process. For families receiving early start services through the regional center, the transition process may look slightly different for everyone. But in general, when your child is 2 years and 6 months or 30 months, you and your GGRC Early Start Service Coordinator should begin the transition process. You will be provided information about the transition process, and this will include information about eligibility for special education services through the school district and for ongoing services through GGRC. This transition process is a gradual process with several steps and potentially several meetings. It's not just one big transition meeting. Most importantly, you want to keep in mind that early start services end on your child's 3rd birthday. You want to make sure that any services with the school district and regional centers are sorted out before your child turns 3. If your child is 5 weeks away or less from their third birthday and/or there is a delay in the transition process, contact us to talk about your case. To give you a visual, here is a roadmap for the general transition process from early start to special education. 1. Transition Planning Conference. When your child is 2 years and 6 months, you will participate in Transition Planning Conference with your GGRC Early Start Service Coordinator, who invites the school district to attend. This meeting will provide you with information about the steps of leaving Early Start, the special education eligibility process, and eligibility for services through the regional center. 2. Notification to the school district. When your child is 2 years and 9 months, the regional center will notify your local school district that your child may be potentially eligible for special education services. 3. Assessment plan. Within 15 calendar days of receiving notification, the school district will respond. They may develop an assessment plan to assess your child in all areas of suspected disability or send a prior written notice if they do not plan to assess. Parent consent to the assessment plan is required for the school district to conduct an assessment. 4. Assessment. Once the school district receives parent consent, a district representative will contact you to schedule a date and time for your child's assessment process. Note, the school district has 60 calendar days to assess your child, determine eligibility for special education, and hold an individualized education program known as IEP meeting from the date of consent for assessment. 5. IEP meeting. An IEP meeting is held to review assessment and eligibility results. If eligible for special education, your child will receive an offer of free and appropriate public education known as FAPE for services to support your child. You are a valuable team member in developing and implementing the IEP. After developing the IEP, implementing it really should happen within reasonable time, 1 or 2 weeks. There is nothing in the law that says they must implement in a certain amount of time, but it certainly isn't months after the initial meeting. 6. Placement program. If you agree to the proposed services outlined in the IEP, consent is required to start them when your child turns 3. Annual meetings are held to update you on your child's progress, and meetings are held every 3 years to determine continued eligibility for special education. You may also request an IEP meeting at any time. Lastly, just remember that this roadmap is for special education, and it is just a roadmap. The actual transition process will look different for every child, and the timeline and process will look different for the transition to GGRC's ongoing services. Step 1, the transition meetings. First, I'll review the 30-month IFSP review. This is a regular IFSP review with extra transition topics, including questions and concerns about early start ending, preschool plans, ongoing services, that's if you want an assessment. And during this meeting, you will also schedule your transition planning conference with the regional center and the school district. Then we have the transition planning conference for special education. This is a transition planning meeting to discuss the assessment process, timelines, and IEP process. The required team members are your GGRC Early Start Service Coordinator and a representative from your school district, and most importantly, a parent or legal guardian of the child. This transition conference will result in a written individualized transition plan that is part of the Individualized Family Service Plan, or also known as IFSP. Just as a reminder, this conference must offer no later than 90 days before your child's third birthday or when they are 33 months. And then we have the IPP meeting. for ongoing services through GGRC. IPP stands for Individualized Program Plan. First, request an evaluation prior to your child's third birthday to determine eligibility. There are 5 criteria of eligibility, which we will discuss later. Your service coordinator will schedule an IPP meeting to discuss the assessment results and possible next steps. Then we have step 2, notification to the school district. Sometimes this step occurs at the same time as the transition meetings, but no later than 90 days before your child's third birthday. The regional center will notify your local school district that your child may be potentially eligible for special education services. Parent or caregivers cannot opt out of this notification, but the regional center will not send over your child's early start records without your consent.
Gabriela, must my child be assessed by the school district for special education services?
Great question, Aide. You can decline the assessment, but as mentioned, Early Start is legally obligated to refer your child to your local school district and provide basic contact information for your family. If you don't want an assessment, just say no thank you when you are contacted by the school district. If you choose to have an assessment, GGRC will transfer your child's Early Start records to the school district to help with the assessment, as long as you give signed consent. You can also request that the school district complete an assessment without using your child's Early Start records. Again, they won't send any records without your consent. Now, for non-GGRC clients, if your child is not receiving Early Start services through the regional center and you are interested in pursuing special education services, the process starts here for you. You will self-refer to the school district by writing a letter to your local school district to request an initial assessment in all areas of suspected need in order to determine special education eligibility. Here is a visual of the process for non-Early Start clients. As a reminder, you will have to initiate the process by writing a letter to the school district. After this step, the process looks similar to the previous roadmap. Within 15 calendar days of receiving the letter, the school district will respond with an assessment plan. You must consent to the assessment plan and send it back to the school district. Then the school district will have 60 calendar days to complete the assessment and hold the first IEP meeting. From there, if your child is eligible for special education, you and the IEP team will implement the IEP. You will attend IEPs every year and every 3 years and when requested. Sample letter. As I mentioned, to begin the process, you will want to request an initial assessment in writing. This is a sample letter to request the initial assessment from your local school district. It's important to remember that the criteria for special education is based on anything that affects your child's ability to learn. The assessment will help determine if your child is eligible for special education. Some helpful tips include provide clear, objective examples of your child's needs and provide documentation from doctors, therapists, ASQ screenings, and any other previous assessments that point to your child's educational need. If you need an interpreter or your documents translated in a language other than English, be sure to include that request in your letter. As you can see here, the date is highlighted, as it is one of the most important sections of the letter. This is when the timeline starts, as the school district will have 15 calendar days to respond to you.
Gabriela, could you elaborate on what calendar days means?
Of course, the 15 calendar days include weekends and 3-day holidays, but excludes extended holidays like winter, spring, and summer breaks. Now let's get into what an IEP is. It stands for Individualized Education Program. It can also stand for the initial meetings that determine whether your child is eligible for special education, known as the IEP eligibility meeting, the annual and/or triennial meeting at which you and the school representatives develop your child's educational plan, and the actual detailed written description of your child's education program. The written IEP is a legal contract that can include related services, accommodations, modifications, assistive technology, and/or equipment to support your child in a school setting. Overall, the IEP is a written legal document that's developed for each child that's eligible for special education services. The IEP is created through a team effort and reviewed at least once a year. You, as the parent, are a key team member. Step 3, assessment plan. Once you receive the assessment plan, and if you agree with the assessment plan, it is crucial that you sign it and return it to the school district or case manager. It's always a good idea to make a copy for your own records. The assessment plan must include the type of assessments to be done and who will do them. Make sure your child is assessed in all areas of suspected delay. As a reminder, a parent has a right to request assessment in all areas related to your child's disability that may impact their learning. Then the school district will have 60 calendar days to complete the assessments and hold the initial IEP meeting to determine eligibility. If eligible, develop IEP goals and services to meet the goals with you, the parent or caregiver, as an equal member of the IEP team. As a reminder, these 60 calendar days include weekends and 3-day holidays, but exclude extended holidays like winter, spring, and summer breaks. Here is a form that's commonly used by the school district. This is the state SELPA IEP assessment plan template. At the top, we have boxes of initial, annual, triennial, transition, interim, and other. When it's your child's first IEP, the box initial will be marked. Then we have the basic identifying information such as child's name, school district, grade, date of birth, primary language, and date. In the middle, we have the evaluation area. And to the right is the examiner title, the specialist conducting the assessment with your child. It's important that all areas of concern in the IFSP are assessed, along with any other areas of suspected need. If you have questions or need help identifying these areas, please reach out to the Family Resource Center. If you agree with the assessment plan proposed and have no additional edits, check the box that says "I consent to the assessment," sign the form, and date. Date is very important, as I'm sure you've captured throughout this training. This is where the 60 calendar days timeline starts. If you do not agree with the assessment plan proposed, mark the second box option. The last box states, "I would like the following assessment information to be considered by the IEP team." If you mark this box, clarify what additional assessment information you want considered under the comment section. You can also request here to receive a draft of your child's assessment results before the initial IEP meeting. The assessment plan is important as it guides the IEP team to determine and assess your child for special education eligibility. Again, it's always a great idea to make a copy for your own records after signing. Step 4, the assessment. Once the assessment plan is signed and returned, the assessment will be scheduled. The child may be observed in various settings, such as daycare, preschool, etc. Input is gathered from parents, teachers, medical providers, and/or therapists. A written assessment report will then be prepared by the school district and presented to the family during the initial IEP meeting. If your child is found eligible for special education, an IEP meeting will be scheduled to discuss the results and/or services. If your child does not qualify for services based on the results of the assessments, a meeting will be offered to discuss the assessment results. Now, if you feel you need a second opinion after the assessments are done and you disagree with the findings, we, the Family Resource Center, can help you be aware of your options, and we encourage you to contact us. Eligibility criteria for special education services. There are 13 eligibility criteria that can possibly affect a child's ability to learn depending on the functional levels of your child. A student needs to meet at least one or more of the criteria, and we have some listed here. This include autism, deafblindness, and speech or language impairment. Although your child may have a medical diagnosis, it doesn't guarantee that they'll receive special education services. It depends on your child's individual levels and how their learning is impacted. Think about if your child will need support accessing any part of the school day. Remember, the focus of the IEP is academic and not medical. Step 5, the IEP meeting. An IEP meeting is held after all assessments are completed. This should happen within 60 calendar days of you signing the assessment plan. Request a copy of the assessment report before your IEP meeting. You can do this in writing when scheduling your assessment. During this IEP meeting, your child's assessment results will be reviewed and eligibility for special education services will be determined. Be sure to share your educational questions and concerns with the IEP team. Ask to clarify the services being offered and ask that the services are written in a specific, clear way that you understand and agree with. IEP meeting and agenda. This is an example of what is discussed during the IEP meeting. First, statements of present levels of performance, then areas of strength and need, followed by the assessment results. If your child is eligible, you will then discuss measurable goals in all areas of need, then annual measures and benchmarks, the offer of FAPE, free appropriate public education, and any modifications, accommodations, and transportation arrangements if necessary. Last, if eligible, ESY, or also known as extended school year. IEP team members. Who are the members of your child's IEP team? This is just an example as it can look different for every individual student. As shown here, your child is at the center because they are the main focus for the IEP meeting. First, we have parents and guardians, as you are key members of the IEP team. Next, we have the general education teacher and/or special education teacher. Then special education director or a representative from the district. Possibly a school psychologist to touch base on behavior, a speech language pathologist or language and communication skills, occupational therapists for gross and fine motor skills, and additional specialists such as an ABA therapist. If an interpreter or translator was requested prior to this meeting, they should be present at no cost to you. They will be provided by the school district. Parents can invite anyone they feel can support them during the meeting, such as family members and friends. Let the IEP team know in writing at least 24 hours in advance if you are inviting someone else. Signing the IEP. If you agree with the IEP in its entirety, you may sign the IEP document, and this will allow services to begin. If you are unsure of the IEP, we recommend taking the document home and reviewing it with your family before signing it. Consider your time wisely and consult with an individual who can interpret the results of your child's evaluation and IEP offer. You can sign for only specific parts of the IEP. You don't have to agree with all parts of the IEP. If you disagree with the IEP, you only need to sign that you attended the meeting. If you disagree or reject the IEP, it should be put in writing. It's important to be informed of your child's rights, and we invite you to consider consulting with us, the Family Resource Center. Before you leave the IEP meeting, it's a good idea to confirm the name of your case manager. Types of IEP meetings. After the IEP is signed and your child's services begin, you will be an active participant in 3 types of IEP meetings. 1, annual IEP meetings. Every year, the IEP team is required to meet to update you on your child's progress on their current goals. Based on your child's progress, there may be new goals added or changes to the services in the IEP. 2, triennial IEP meetings. Every 3 years, the triennial IEP meeting is held to determine continued eligibility for special education services. The IEP team works together to decide which assessments to conduct. With parents' consent, your child will be reassessed. In some cases, the parent and district can agree in writing that reassessment is unnecessary. 3, parent requested an IEP meeting. You may request an IEP meeting in writing at any time throughout the school year. The meeting must be held within 30 days of the district receiving the written request. For example, if your child has a new diagnosis or has met one or more of their goals, you will want to schedule another IEP to create new goals. We want to have high expectations for our children with disabilities. Here are some IEP tips. As your child's parent, you are a key part of the team and know your child better than anyone. You are the best expert of your child. If your child is in early start, make sure to have a copy of your IFSP and familiarize yourself with your child's strengths and areas of concern. Prepare your thoughts and questions before meeting. Have an idea of what you want to achieve. If you need an interpreter or translated materials, communicate that clearly and consistently with the IEP team in writing. They will need to know as early as possible. Request the assessment report draft prior to the IEP meeting. There will be a lot discussed during the IEP, and you might have a better idea of what is being talked about if you can review it before the initial IEP meeting. Ask how much time has been scheduled for the IEP meeting. You will want to arrange for childcare because taking children along may make it difficult to focus fully on the IEP meeting. If you plan to record the audio of your IEP meeting or bring an external provider, such as legal representation or an advocate, you must give 24-hour written notice. Stay focused and positive. Keep your child at the forefront of the meeting. Call a break if needed. These meetings can take time, and a lot of information is being shared, and you have the right to request for a short break. You want to build positive relationships with the team, especially your child's teacher and case manager. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions, as it is a learning journey. Ask for clarification. If you don't understand something, it's okay. Ask to have it explained again, or explain what you understood and ask if that is correct. You can't be an equal member of the IEP team if you don't know what is going on. Keep in mind that they may use special educational terms, and it's okay to remind them that you may not be aware of what they mean. I will provide some examples of these special education terms in the next slide. Here we have some commonly used terms in the realm of special education. You will become more familiar with them as you go through the IEP process. For example, we have accommodations. Examples may include preferred seating, bigger text, sensory breaks, specialized chairs. Modifications can look like curriculum changes, such as less homework or modified homework or extra time for test taking. Keep in mind that special education is not a place, it's services. Services through your medical insurance. We want to mention additional avenues of services to consider for your child outside of special education. Sometimes your child may need more support than what the school is offering. Most school services tend to be done in groups, and medical services tend to be one-on-one. You may want to consider consulting with your child's pediatrician and ask them for a referral for services provided by your health insurance plan. Some of these services may include speech therapy, hearing assessment, dietitian services. The main reason to inquire with your pediatrician is to prevent any gaps in services while your child is transitioning out of early start. Most providers will submit a referral, and the department will contact you with further information. Some services may have co-pays, so be sure to check with your insurance company about your benefits and deductibles. This option is encouraged whether your child is eligible for special education or Lanterman Act or not. Most families are not aware to ask for these services through their medical provider. Ongoing services. Your child may also be eligible for ongoing services, otherwise known as Lanterman Act through GGRC, if it's determined that they have a developmental delay that will continue throughout their lifespan. Your early service coordinator should refer your case to ongoing services. If your service coordinator doesn't bring it up, you can request an evaluation through GGRC prior to your child's 3rd birthday to determine eligibility. There are 5 eligibility criteria for ongoing services: autism, cerebral palsy, epilepsy, global developmental delay, or a condition that significantly affects a child's global development, such as Down syndrome. After the assessments, your service coordinator will schedule an IPP meeting to discuss the assessment results for ongoing services. The IPP is an agreement in which GGRC identifies the services and supports to reach your child's ongoing goals outside of the education system. This can include after-school care, summer camp services, respite, diapers, transportation, and more. Your child will participate in annual and triannual IPP meetings. A tip: you can ask your service coordinator for your child's UCI number. It should be displayed on your child's reports, as it will come in handy. Generic services and community-based services. Here are some additional services that families can tap into to elevate care for their child if eligible. Generic services and supports are available to the general public with eligibility requirements. We have California Children's Services, known as CCS, Medi-Cal, Supplemental Security Income, known as SSI, and in-home supportive services, known as IHSS, just to list a few. Community-based services are also available. Sometimes they are free and sometimes they are fee-based. Some examples include city or county parks and recreational programs, your local YMCA, community playgroups, public libraries, community centers, faith-based organizations, and Head Start. Some examples in San Mateo County include San Mateo Mental Health Services, Boys and Girls Club, and 4Cs, and others. We are also happy to provide more resources if you contact us directly. A recap of transition meetings before third birthday. To recap, by your child's third birthday, if your child is receiving early start services, you will likely have participated in the final IFSP meeting, one or more transition meetings, and the initial IEP meeting. If eligible for special education, you and the IEP team will have developed goals and objectives and identified appropriate services and supports to meet those goals. The school district will have provided you with an offer of FAPE, free appropriate public education, the date on which preschool services will begin, along with your signature, will appear on the IEP document. By your child's third birthday, it is also likely that you attend the initial IPP meeting. If eligible, you and your GGRC service coordinator will have developed goals and objectives and identified appropriate supports and services. As a reminder, early start services end on your child's third birthday. By your child's third birthday, if your child is not receiving early start services, you can write a letter to your local school district to request an initial assessment to begin the IEP process. You can also contact your regional center to request an assessment to determine Land Sherman Act eligibility. This brings us to the end of this transition guide. Well, we hope you found this information helpful as you start the transition early, from early start to special education through the school district and other services such as those available through the regional center and medical insurance. Again, if you have any questions while navigating the process of starting special education, we invite you to reach out to us. You can email us at info@smcfrc.org or call us at the number provided in the chat. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have a wonderful evening.